last absolutely, that's where I'm at.
Full setup on card.
Whoa! Good evening, everyone. We got quite a few viewers already. Awesome. What's going on? Throw in comments. We've got the Facebook group, and all your comments will populate here. I'll see everything. How's everyone doing tonight? It's been a busy weekend. It's been a really busy weekend. Braden, what's going on? Braden and I, I made my trek back via flight and got home this morning. Braden is still going, he's still driving home. Back up. Someone's telling me to back up. I'm too close to the camera. Too much of your face that close. Brian, I think you need more of my face in the camera. How's that? Is that better? What's going on, everyone? We had an awesome time this weekend, and we're going to go ahead and talk about some of the event results from Optima this weekend. It was a blast. I've got the pages pulled up. We will go ahead and we'll go through them. Talk a little bit about it. Post comments up. It was a really good weekend. Despite the wet weather, it was an amazing weekend. Eric Heller knocked amazing course. Amazing course. He gave people options at a couple different spots in the course, and it was interesting to listen to the drivers sit in war game, what they wanted to do and then what they ended up doing. And it was really neat to see. Haley Weller, hello. Got to meet her and her husband, Danny. Danny just about put on a clinic for everyone. It was really awesome to see. We're going to go over those results here in just a second. So without further ado, let's just dive right in. If you've seen this before, technology is my slow suit. So I'm going to go ahead and present. And we're going to share screen here, and I'm just going to show these results up. So and let's do this. Click. All right, you can see my screen there. That's what I'm looking at. Look at that. It's like the never-ending mirror, right? We can go to this. All right, overall event results. Let's dive a little deeper in this. All right, overall results. We'll move into what we got right here. This is D&E. So as you guys know, Outlaw does not do anything with the D&E. We will start with GTV on this, and go ahead and make sure you post up comments. I'll be following along right here if I check over to my tablet. All right, so D&E. Brian Hobart took the win with D&E with his 73 Camaro, and if you've seen that car, you would see that it's an unbelievable, beautiful car. Darren Bogus with it was like a maroonish colored Camaro, 69 Camaro, second place. Ryan Breezy in the silver 69 Camaro. He made that car is just as fast as it looks good, man. He tore it up all weekend long. Garrett Randall, the C3 Rambo Corvette, that thing was neat. OD Green C3 Vet, good looking car. Tony Phillips, the 55 Bel Air, coming in fifth place with the D&E. Rick Ray in a 71 Camaro. Talked to Rick for a while out there. Super nice guy. Awesome, beautiful car too. Nathan Purd, 70 Chevelle. You know what I like about this Chevelle is he gets out, he tears it up, and races the tar out of that thing, and he's still rocking a big block Chevy in there. He has not made the jump to the LS. Kyle Phillips with the 56 Bel Air, another one of the shoeboxes out there. Good looking car. Greg Thurman with a 65 Vet, another beautiful car, very well done. Keith Smith, 71 Camaro. We had a lot of second gens out there this time. George Diaz in the 73 Camaro. David Ball in the 66 Le Mans, and then Brett Madsen, both not making it out. Going into GTT, David Carroll with his square body Blazer. It's a neat truck. He's got a soft top on this thing, and he gets after it in that thing. And Dustin Reed right behind him in D&E on this with his 72 C10. This thing is like a pewter color, I'd say. Beautiful truck. And here's what, in my opinion, I thought was really awesome about this weekend is you don't see very many Fords, at least older Fords, at a lot of events. But here on the West Coast, they had 3 F100s in the field, and all 3 of them were just tearing it up out there. Wesley McFarland had his GMC C10, and then we had 2 more F100s. Well, and then one that did not make it out. Awesome field in the truck class. It was really entertaining to watch these guys get after it, and no holds barred, just tearing it up. GTS was a fun class to watch as well. A very diverse class. Bob Sobey taking the win at D&E with his GTR. Jordan Priestley coming right behind him with the Tesla Model 3. Coda Atwood with his Tesla 3. And again, these are the D&E scores. CB Ramey in the 24 Z06 Vet. God, this thing was an amazing car. It sounded every bit as good as it looked. That flat plane motor in that thing. Moving down the field, Brandon Hurst with his Model S Tesla. Jason Trantham in his 21 Vet. Robert Foster, 2012 Corvette. John Lawrence with his Grand Sport, 2017. Kyle Nemechek in his 2007. And then Paul Harris in his 23 did not make it, nor did the bottom of the field there. GTL class, all right. Ricky Lamney. This car was one of my favorites out here. A little Datsun 280Z. It's just a good-looking car. He's got it flared out. He's rocking a big old huffer on top of that thing. It's a fast car. It's really neat to see. Lane Farka just putting on a clinic in that GT3. Terry Breezy in the 08 Vet. Josh Cummins in another Porsche GT4. All ran really well. It was awesome to see and kind of see how they shook out with the D&E scores here. Sean Fogley in GTC with the S2000. Definitely a neat little car. Those S2000s are little go-karts. It's fun to watch them run. Moving to GT class. GT was pretty stacked. Brian Riley takes the win in D&E with his 2018 Camaro. Matt Ramirez with his 04 Mustang GT. He had a really good outing this weekend, taking the overall win in GT class. We'll get to that here in a little bit. Michael Antonson with the 2019 Ford Mustang. Chris Picorni with the 92 Mustang, a beautiful little blue Fox body. Very well done Fox body. This thing was a lot of fun to see out there on the track. Did quite well in D&E as well. All right. Jake Jackson in his 6th gen Camaro. It was a red one, good-looking car. Another 2018 Camaro for Michael Arley, James Pierce, and another Camaro. A lot of Camaros in the field today. Jay West rocking the S550 Mustang. Sergio Ramirez in a ZL11LE. Hector Curiel and the 6th gen Camaro. Cedric Hunt in the 2009 Lexus ISF. This dude came out and just tore it up. One of his, he had very little experience. He was one of the first timers for this weekend and just had a blast. It was awesome to see him, especially the improvements. And then Tyler Randall in a 2015 Camaro. Then, D&E was fun to watch. These guys put a lot of work and a lot of time and effort into these cars to help build these things out. Let's go ahead and check out. Matt Ramirez says David Carroll had a soft top. I mean, that's true. That's funny. Yeah, he did. After the first road course session, that thing started coming off. All right, so let's move on. All right, event results. So this is the autocross. Let me go. Yeah, we'll just leave it here. All right, so Danny Weller and Frankie Trutanek in the autocross ran both quite well, running both in Outlaw. Danny with a ZL11LE. That car was wicked fast all weekend long, and he had set the pace for the field for most of the day until the afternoon when the track started to really dry out. And even then, he still ended up with a top 5 overall time in the autocross, coming in with a 45.74. Frankie Trutanek a couple seconds behind him with a 47.85. GTV was a lot of fun to watch as well. Ryan Breezy had that 69 Camaro on rails all weekend long, and comes out with a 46.66 with Garrett Randall behind him with a 47.07. Brian Hobaugh took 3rd at the autocross with a 48.85 in GTV. Rick Ray coming back at it with his 2nd gen Camaro with a 49.016. Kyle Phillips in the Bel Air, the 56, he ran really well all weekend on that thing. It was neat to see that car. You don't see many of these Bel Airs that are running around autocross and racing, and these guys are out there just tearing it up. With a 49.212. Darren Bogus, 49.52. Greg Thurman coming in with a 50.119. Keith Smith with a 51.705. And Nathan Purd with the big block Chevelle coming in 52.18. George Diaz with a 52.676. And Tony Phillips in the 55 Bel Air with a 52.952. All right, let's go back, check any comments here. Lane, what's going on, brother? Good to have you on, man. Going over the autocross results right now. We're getting to the truck class. David Carroll took the win for the autocross in his Blazer with a 48.32, with Dustin Reed right behind him with a 48.74. Josh, I'm going to butcher this name, Wojciechowski. Forgive me, man. 51.18. Wesley McFarland in the square body C10 with a 52.22. Chris Allen with his F100 with a 54.199. And Jeff Gloniak with his 54.39 in the other F100. Again, a lot of F100s made up the field this time. GTS was a pretty tight field. Jordan Priestley kind of set the tone with a 45.06. And Bob Sobey right behind him with a 45.42. And then what I really want to show, check this out. CB Ramey and Bob Sobey were 8 thousandths off each other in the autocross. And what I really want to point out, too, is the top 3 cars. We had the Tesla, we had the GTR, and the 08 Z06, and the C8 Z06, and they're all right there within less than a half a second of each other. It just shows how tight the field is and how it really doesn't matter. You've got the skill behind the wheel. You're gonna be able to push these cars to the limit, and these guys really put on a show for everybody out there watching, especially that tight of a spread for 1 through 3. Brandon Hurst coming in with a 46.20. Coda Atwood, really good weekend for him as well with a 46.75. Jason Trantham with a 47.25. John Lawrence came in with a 47.46. And then we had Robert Foster with a 48.495 and Kyle Nemechek with a 51.366. Solid run. And then Lane Farka. All right, so Lane with a 4th overall and a 45.64. Lane crushed it this weekend. He had that Porsche running really good, man. And it just, again, goes to show you the top 4 were separated by not even a second. There was about 5 tenths between the 4 of them. Josh Cummins in his Porsche coming in 2nd place in GTL with a 47.908. Terry Breezy with a 48.08. And then Ricky Lamney with his Datsun with a 48.43. A lot of fun out there, man. These guys, like I said, it started out wet. And, I mean, when I say wet, there was standing water on the track. It's still raining in the morning when they got out there. It was cold. The wind started to pick up, but then the sun kind of came out midday, dried the track off, and you saw times drastically improve from morning to afternoon out in the autocross, and you just had to do with getting that dry track out there. Sean Fogley comes in with a 49.66. And then GT class. GT class, again, good size class for this particular event. Jake Jackson coming in 1st place with a 46.85. Matt Ramirez right behind him with a 47.005. Matt looked really good all weekend. These guys both ended up finishing 8 and 9 overall and ended up with less than 2 tenths of spread between them for the top of GT class at the autocross. Brian Riley, 48.05. Chris Picorni with a 48.34. Hector Curiel with a 48.60. Michael Antonsen with a 49.66. Jay West coming in with a 49.91. Sergio Ramirez with a 50.61. Michael Arley, 50.75. James Pearson, his 6th gen, 51.74. And then Cedric Hunt in the ISF Lexus coming in with a 53.519. One thing I want to point out, look at his initial runs to his ending runs. He showed a ton of improvement out on track, and he continued to put down times and run really well. It was really awesome to see him improve as a driver on track. I need to move this little guy out of the way. There we go. And then Tyler Randall unfortunately he had a little bit of issue on track and wasn't able to finish out, but he ended the day with a 58.091. All right, let me go back here real quick and see what we got. Bob Sobey, listen also. What's going on, guys? All right, pull that down. Hi, there we go. All right. Brian, Vela, good to have you guys on. Let's see, check over here. Who's with me on the Facebook group? All right, so moving past that, let's go into the Peak Performance Challenge. Now, what's interesting about this, I kind of looked through the times a little bit earlier, and there was a little bit, not everyone, but it appears that the left course was a little bit faster than the right course. And some of you drivers, if you're out there watching, go ahead and make comments on this. We'd love to hear it. Frankie Trutanek ended up taking the win with a 14.86 left and a 15.63 right over Danny Weller in outlaw class. Danny had a 15.28 left with a 15.30 right. GTV. What's interesting about those two is those were 1 and 2 for lap times there. All right. Ryan Breezy with a 15.15 left to a 15.26 right. Garrett Randall coming right behind him with a 15.50 and a 15.74. Good runs by those guys. Let's see, moving forward. And one thing you kind of notice here, some of these guys' times were fastest in the middle of the day. It started to rain again towards the end of the day. The weather kind of rolled in, I'd say around 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It started to get a little bit wet, and you can kind of see that in some of the times. It didn't have a huge impact on everybody, but it did have somewhat of an impact. Brian Hobaugh coming in third place in GTV with a 16.15 and a 16.25. Rick Ray with a 16.07 and a 16.58. Darren Bogus with a 16.35 and a 16.50. We got Kyle Phillips with a 16.34 and a 16.55. Keith Smith, he had a 16.17 left to a 16.81 right. Nathan Purd, 16.76 left to a 17.0 on the right. Again, big block Chevelle. That thing has got a lot of motor up front of that car. Tony Phillips with a 16.88 and a 16.94 on the right side. And George Diaz coming in with a 17.72 left with an 18.15 right. GTT truck class. Dustin Reed pulls out the win in the Peak Performance Challenge with a 15.70 left to a 15.77 right. David Carroll right behind him with a 15.779 left and a 16.456 right. You can see a little bit of a difference there. You know, a lot of guys were much faster on that left course than they were on the right. Josh, again, you're just gonna call him Josh. It's a good first name. I love it. Happens to be mine as well, as you guys know. Ran with a 16.11 left and a 16.49 right. Chris Allen with a 16.37 and a 16.88 for his left and right side, respectively. Wes McFarland, 16.3, was that a 3.9 and a 17.03. And then Jeff Gloniak, with an 18.358 and an 18.720. Brian Teller, good to have you on, brother. Let's see. Driver Tyler Hawker says the driver can see the cones better going left. Right side, you're guessing a little more. What say you, other drivers? You guys, left side had a lot of grip at the starting line. Yeah, you could definitely see the difference between the two. Everyone seemed to be able to take that left side a little bit tighter on the back end. You didn't see quite as many people kicking the thing out. There was a lot of people getting a little bit loose coming back towards the stop box on that right side than they did on the left side. And that was just at least my outside perspective watching from the sidelines. GTS, Brandon Hurst takes the win with a 14.117 and a 14.441, lightning fast laps. Bob Sobey right there with him, a little bit faster on the left side with a 14.08 on the left and a 14.69 on the right side. Jordan Priestley coming in with a 14.776 and a 15.004. Coda with a 14.686 left and then a 15.1 right. CB Ramey had a 14.583 left and a 15.304 right. I talked to him for a little bit after he got finished with his runs, and he said that left side run was a hero run for him, and he wasn't going to be able to replicate it. It looked really good. He came dang close to it. You can see right here with that 14.83 towards the end of the day. Jason Trantham, his last run on the left course netted him a 14.96 and a 15.407. Robert Foster with a 15.611 and a 15.85. And then John Lawrence with a 15.60 and a 15.91. All right, so moving to GTL. Lane, his last lap comes in with a 14.777 and his right side with a 14.926. Very consistent both sides. Good running with Lane this weekend. He really ran well all weekend long. It was definitely a lot of fun to watch him tear it up in that Porsche. Terry Breezy with a 15.025 and a 15.351. Terry Breezy, and we're going to kind of show you guys this. He is he ended up as the winner of the Most Improved Driver Award, and he had a solid improvement across the board as you look at his times there with the left and the right side course. Now, one thing I want to point out as drivers were coming out to run this, the right course was their first time on track. And then they had, they'd gotten that one warm-up run and then went over to the left side. So that might have something to do with the right course. Maybe they're getting cold tires or something like that coming on that right side. Josh Cummins with his car, his Porsche running a 15.28 and a 15.70. And then Ricky Lamney with the Datsun 15.40 and a 15.82. Sean Fogley was able to pull off a 16.511 left and a 16.80 on the right. Good running by those guys. Moving to GT, Matt Ramirez takes the win in GT in his 04 Mustang. 15.191 left side to a 15.344 right. And you can see he was really gunning for it, and he'd blown the cone a couple times, punching it through the stop box towards the end. He was able to get the good clean runs in though, and take the win off of that in the Peak Performance Challenge. Brian Riley, he had a 15.31 left to a 15.79 right. Jake Jackson coming in third place with a 15.74 left and a 15.92 right. Hector Curiel with a 15.81 and a 16.1. Chris Picorni in his Fox body, 15.71 to a 16.262. Michael Antonson with a 16.25 and a 16.49. Good run by those guys. James Pierce in his 6th Gen Camaro, 16.11 and a 16.70. Cedric Hunt in that Lexus with a 16.34 on the left and a 16.69 on the right. Let's see. Michael Arley came in with a 16.55 left and a 16.59 right. Jay West with his S550 Mustang with a 16.30 and a 16.85. And then rounding out the GT class was Sergio Ramirez with a 16.59 and a 16.60 for the Peak Performance Challenge. These guys really, brakes and tires were warmer on the left side. I completely agree with that. I think that had a lot to do with it. It was really interesting to see that. And, asphalt differences, all those different things. The reality is that, guys were a little more in tune, I would say, with their car and their driving, shaking off the dust off that, getting on the right side. There wasn't a ton of lag time in between laps. However, it was enough to let tires and everything cool down a little bit. And so that right side does warm things up, gets everything a little bit more, ready to go. So something to consider. All right, let's move to the hot laps. Danny Weller set a screaming fast lap of a 1:57.81. set the lap, fast lap of the day with his first run, come out for the second set of runs, and he pulled in a 157.54. Again, still held the time. I don't think anyone was anywhere near that time. I think the closest we had was maybe at 158. We'll get to that in a second. Frankie Trutanek in his vet was able to pull off a fast time of 209.355 in the first session. Second session, he had a 210.606. GTV, Ryan Breezy just putting down the laps in his Camaro with a 201.307 for the morning, and then the afternoon session with a 202.432. Good running. He really put on a show with that thing. He had that thing on rails, screaming fast laps. Ryan Hobaugh, right behind him, with a 201.94 on his first session and a 201.81 on his second session. Rick Ray with a 201.705 and a 202.671. Keith Smith came in with a 204.042 on the first session and a 203.700 on the second session. And then Darren Bogus with a 214.832 on his first session and a 213.103 second session. Garrett Randall came in, had a hot lap of 214.798, 215.423. Kyle Phillips with a 215.039 and a 215.380 for his second session. Tony Phillips, 215.811 and a 215.444 for his two times. And then Nathan Purd, 222, was that 968. And then George Diaz ended up having a time to round out the GTV with a 229.657. David Carroll, he came with a 206.774 in the Blazer, with the top falling off, blowing in the wind, and then came out second session, no top, with a 207.234. He lost some aerodynamics not having the top on. Dustin Reed with a 209.046 and a 214.039. Josh with the F100 with a 215.394 and a 213.554. Chris Allen in his F100 with a 216.250. Followed up with a 217.619. Jeff Gloniak with a 218.015 and a 218.774. And then Wes McFarland in his square body C10 with a 221.46 and a 219.173. CB Ramey coming in hot with a 159.325 in the Z06 C8 Z06, and then a 159.593 on the second lap, or his second session, excuse me. John Lawrence with a 2-minute .249 lap and a 2-minute .083 lap for his second session. Bob Sobey with a 2-minute 727 and a 201.423. Jason Trantham coming in with a 204.568 and a 201.745. Jordan Priestley with a 205.166 and a 205.580. Brandon Hurst right behind him with a 207.305 and a 204.746. And then Coda Atwood, 208.395 and a 207.223. And then Robert Foster with a 209.420 and a 207.526. Moving on to GTL, Lane Parker takes the top in GTL with a 159.923 and a 201.617. Josh Cummins right behind him with a 206.673 and a 205.661. Terry Breezy finished in third place in GTL with a 214.770 and a 212.644. Ricky Lamney, 214.037 and a 213.610. Sean Fogley in the S2000 comes in with a 221.533 and a 217.797. That gets us to GT class. All right, so GT class, again, it was a lot of 6 gens with a sprinkling of Mustangs out there. We had a 158.743 from Jake Jackson and a 158.839. just screaming. Him and Danny Weller were just on top of their game this weekend in their 6 gens, respectively. Matt Ramirez, 2 minutes, 2.266, and a 2 flat 0.861. Brian Riley had a 205.722, 204.371. Michael Arley with a 207.773 and a 209.182. Hector Curiel in his 6th gen with a 211.536 and a 210.425. Jay West with a 211.809 and a 211.146. Chris Picorni in the Fox body with a 215.236 and a 212.208. James Pierce comes in with a 214.122 and a 215.615 in his 6th gen. Michael Antonson, his 2019 S550 with a 216.190 and a 214.748. Cedric Hunt in the Lexus. Really good showing here. He had a 216.876 and a 214.259. And then Sergio Ramirez with a 215.804 and a 225.101. So total results there. All right, let's go to event standings here. Show overall results. All right. And all right, so let's see. We're going to go to, where are we going to go? We'll click on Outlaw here. So Danny Weller takes the win in Outlaw class with a total of 399 points. Tight race between these two, to Frankie Trutanek with a 398. In GTV, Ryan Breezy pulled the win with 472, with Brian Hobart taking 2nd place with 448. Garrett Randall, 440. Rick Ray with a 433. Danny Bogus with a 417. Kyle Phillips with 393. Keith Smith with a 390. With Tony Phillips a 381. Nathan Purd with 373. George Diaz with 346. And then Greg Thurman with a 142. He had some mechanical issues and wasn't able to finish the weekend out, unfortunately. All right, moving forward, GTT. David Carroll pulls the win with a 446. Dustin Reed with a 439. Josh in his F100 with a 414. I apologize on your name, brother. I am just I'm not even going to try to butcher it. Wesley McFarland with a 374. Jeff Gloniak with a 361. Chris Allen with a 353. And GTS. GTS was a pretty tight race. Bob Sobey ends up taking the win with a 493. To Jordan Pleasley taking 2nd with a 480. CB Ramey in the Z06, C8, Z06 with a 467. Coda in his Tesla coming with a 459. Brandon Hurst with his Tesla, the 454. Jason Trantham in his C8 with a 445. John Lawrence with 437. Robert Foster with a 418. And then Kyle Nemechek with a 233 to round out GTS. GTL. Lane Farka brings home the win, 475 points. Josh Cummins behind him with a 437. Ricky Lamney right on Josh's tails with a 436. And Terry Breezy coming in fourth with a 433. Terry Breezy also, again, won the Most Improved Driver Award this weekend, which was really neat to see. Again, a lot of improvement on track with that. Sean Fogley comes in with a 383 in GTC. And then GT. GT was an awesome show. These guys put on a great show. They were all just driving their tail off, and it really showed on track. Matt Ramirez brings home the win with a 478. Brian Riley behind him with a 463. Jake Jackson, the 456. Chris Picorni in the Fox body with a 425. Michael Antonson, solid run in his S550 with a 408 for 5th place. Hector Curiel with a 407. Michael Arley with the 401. James Pierce, 391. Jay West in his S550 with a 390. Sergio Ramirez with a 366. Cedric Hunt with the Lexus coming in with a 363. And then again, Tyler Randall had some unfortunate issues and was finished with a 116. So it was a solid weekend. Let me go ahead and pull this down. He was. Lane crushed it, and he has the coolest stickers. Yeah, we do have. We've got one of the one of the Lane Farkas stickers on the computer now. So thank you, Lane, for that. This was our first time hanging out with the West Coast crew. We spent a little bit of time at SEMA this last year. I didn't get a chance to meet a lot of people. We were helping out Chris Brown as he was putting everything on track and running at the Invitational last year. But this is the first time we got to really hang out. And I got to say, it was a blast. Thunderhill is now on one of the tracks that I want to get to and race. You guys put on a hell of a show. And one of the things that Jimmy Day puts out in the drivers' meeting is act like you've been here, act like you belong here. And you guys all did. There were no major issues with anything. There were no real issues at all that would be outside of the normal event. You guys put on just as professional of a show as the Trans Am guys did, and that was really awesome to see. And it was just a lot of fun to be out there. We've had a busy 2 weeks with Sebring, and then following it right up with Thunderhill. We got a little bit of time now to kind of take a little bit of a pause before Laguna Seca hits up, but I want to hear from you guys. We got quite a few people watching right now. What did you guys think of the event? Feedback from the people out there. How did you guys feel about it? We're going to give that time for these comments to come through. Let me check the Instagram page too. Yeah, Rick says that the right side had no grip at the start. And, that's true. A lot of guys were just sitting there burning the tires off. And here's the thing, too. You guys are out there watching. Let us know if there's some specific things that you want to see. We've got a few ideas moving forward for some of these SITREP episodes that we want to kind of incorporate, bringing on some industry experts to talk some different things. We've had Wilwood on. We've had Redline Oil on. We've had UMI Performance. And if there's something that you guys want to hear, shoot us a message and let us know. We've been more than happy. And if you want to come on and talk your story of racing, please do. We love to have drivers come on and share their story and where they came from. It's been a lot of fun getting to know a lot of you people out there racing and just getting to see you guys share that passion that we have on track just the same. All right. You guys are being quiet tonight. We can make the awkward silence. Yeah, get old Optima Jim on here. We definitely do. He won't look quite as tall on here as he does in person. We got a picture from Sebring, and I think I go right up to the middle of his chest. It's hilarious. So, Jim, if you're watching, here's your cordial invite. All right, guys. We had a lot of fun this weekend. We definitely enjoyed every bit about it. Being able to see the racing family going to dinners is so much fun. Haley, 100%. That was the biggest thing. I met you guys for the first time day one. Went to the pizza parlor, and you guys are some awesome people. It's really good. This racing family has been the camaraderie that I found in the racing family is on par with what I have experienced in my career in the Army. So I will definitely agree with that. It's a really cool group, and we, the one thing that impresses me every time is that everyone's competing, but everyone's out there helping each other. You guys are talking about what they're doing to make make it around the course faster and different things, and so that's cool. Lane, definitely, man. It was a blast. I definitely want to. I know Braden at a minimum is going to be at Laguna Seca. I'm going to try to make it down there. And he'll be up at Portland as well. So we're hopeful to be there. Yeah, Braden, that's 100% right. I know I talked to Jordan and Coda and Lane, and they were all planning on heading south in order to get back rather than trying to deal with all that whole I-80 mess. That was crazy. But guys, thank you again for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys. Yeah. Matt Ramirez, thank you for support and kind words. Regular ass Mustang dad. All right, Matt's dad. You guys did awesome. And again, very professional driving on track, very professional atmosphere. And it was awesome. Lane's still driving. He's an hour out. Matt says that racing in the rain was more fun than expected. I love running in the rain. That's... you're not going to be faster, but it definitely helps improve your driving. That is one of the, that's I love it. Matt, it was good meeting you guys too. And as we move on with these recaps, we'll improve them every time. So, like I said, if you guys have got anything you want to hear, you want to see, let us know. Reach out, shoot us a message, and we will definitely help. Update some stuff. Braden, Danny wants to give you a ride along at Seika. So, Braden, you've got a ride in the 6th gen, man. You got that mean ZL11LE. He wants to give you a ride along. So, Braden should be there, barring any catastrophic anything, and then he'll be up at Portland as well. So, guys, we're going to go ahead and close with that. Thank you very much. And if we didn't get a chance to meet you out there, shoot us a message, say hi, tell us what's up. And again, if you want to hear something special on here, you want to do a showcase of your own car, reach out to us, and we'd love to have you guys on the SITREP. Yep, Lane is offering a ride as well, Braden. So you got a couple rides, and you guys are going to get him all confused. We got to build his S10, not get him all wanting to drive a Porsche or a ZL1. I mean, we got to get that S10 built. I'll just hop cars all day. We'll make sure we send him with everything he needs safety gear wise. We'll have him. He'll be our ZAMP model for all of our new safety stuff that we got coming out. Right on. Cool, guys. Well, on that note, unless I have a comment come in here, we're going to go ahead and close down. Thank you again. It was a blast this weekend, and we can't wait to see you guys back out on track. And as always, thank you to Redline Oil for supporting us and doing what we need. And for everybody out there, if you need anything, please give us a call. We would be more than happy to help get you set up with whatever it might be, whether it's fluids, safety gear, hot rod parts, getting the cars dialed in. Give us a shout. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.